There are a lot of dinosaur games out there. Most of them want you to feel powerful, big guns, big creatures, big explosions. But this dinosaur game didn't want you to feel like that. It wanted you to feel afraid. It wanted you to feel like you were the prey and being hunted. In this game, you didn't rush into rooms, you listened outside them. You didn't clear areas, you survived them. The AI for its time was completely unmatched. Doors didn't protect you, dinosaurs were able to come through them. Walls and fences didn't protect you, dinosaurs were able to jump over them. And in a game where you seemingly went from room to room via a cutscene, very much like Resident Evil, you thought these were blockers, that they were self-contained areas and you were safe when you went into a new room. Dino Crisis completely stripped all that away. The feeling and sense that you were constantly being tracked and nowhere was safe. This is something that no other dinosaur game has ever truly replicated, and that's why Dino Crisis still matters and holds up today. Not because of nostalgia, but because it is one of the best dinosaur games of all time. And not only that, how it could be returning extremely soon, all from a little post I made a few days ago. But that's getting ahead of myself. Let me continue to explain here. When Dino Crisis launched in 1999, it wasn't trying to be Jurassic Park. It was trying to be its own thing, but was survival horror. Limited armor, locked rooms, puzzles under pressure. This was Capcom, so it had a similar feel to Resident Evil, but the enemies weren't zombies. They were intelligent dinosaurs. These enemies didn't rush straight into you head on. They stalked, flanked, and learned your behaviors. Dino Crisis was truly ahead of its time. Dinosaurs wasn't the boss fight, they were the persistent threat throughout the franchise. Sure, you could hurt them, but that didn't mean they were gone. And in fact, the game actually encouraged you to trank them rather than kill them, because it would keep them down for longer. It had its own crafting system in-game, which was ahead of its time as well, where you could craft armor, darts, and tailor the trank strength depending on what you crafted with it. You wanted a trank dart, which was brilliant for small dinosaurs and would knock them out for a long time? Great. But that wouldn't work on the bigger beasts. You'd have to have a stronger trank dart. And if you really wanted to, you could go for a lethal trank dart. One-shot kills. Sure, Dino Crisis had a story, and a very good one at that, but a lot of it was unscripted. Raptors would come crashing through doors, jumping over walls. These were all unscripted events, and you were punished for being careless. One wrong move could see you running from one room into the next, surrounded by a pack of velociraptors. Hell, all this alone puts Dino Crisis in a category that almost no other dinosaur game has ever been able to touch. The atmosphere alone was fantastic. Subtle sounds, ambience, music, and the music. I regularly use them throughout my Jurassic Park and Jurassic World videos, with several people always commenting on the videos saying, "Hey, isn't that the Dino Crisis save room theme?" An absolute iconic piece. The music matched the tone of the game perfectly, and not only that, the atmosphere was terrifying. But it wasn't just the atmosphere, it was the behavior of its enemies. Enemies didn't just spawn on command, they roamed around the building, the outside, they doubled back, they waited for you, almost as if they were laying a trap. Well, not almost, they were laying a trap, very much like what Robert Muldoon fell victim to in Jurassic Park. Clever girl. Sometimes, you see, the smartest choice wasn't to fight them head on, it was actually to run away, and in hope that whatever was on the other side of the door once you ran through it wouldn't follow you through. The tension, the feeling that you were never really safe, is exactly what modern dinosaur games still fail to capture to this day. I find newer games seem to give you that power straight off the bat. Multiple guns, rocket launchers, yada yada yada. Dino Crisis removed all of that, took it away, made you the prey. And for me, that's why Dino Crisis never really got replaced. It kind of was left abandoned after Dino Crisis 3. I know, right? Dino Crisis 3? See, they went on to Dino Crisis 2, and that was completely different. Entire 180 from the original. They gave you all the guns, dinosaurs charged at you head on, and it became more of an action game, kind of like Resident Evil 4 was, but they removed all that atmosphere and creepiness. Now, to me, it's still a good game, but nowhere near as good as the first, and I won't even get into Dino Crisis 3. Very similar to what happened to Dead Space. 1 was good, 2 was fantastic, but 3 killed the franchise. The 180 which 2 took, and then when Dino Crisis 3 came along, near enough put the nail in the coffin for Dino Crisis. Crisis. It was almost as if they were chasing some type of action trend, the fear got diluted, the identity slipped, and then eventually everything stopped. No remake, no reboot, no proper follow-up. For years, Dino Crisis became the poster child for a franchise for Capcom, but they refused to touch it, despite fans asking for it constantly. But something happened a few days ago which caught people's attention. You see, I regularly think about Dino Crisis. I play it once every couple of months, at least. Never finish it, but I always go back to it. And I was thinking about it a few days ago, so I decided on my YouTube channel that I was actually going to post about it and tag Capcom in it, asking when the remake was coming around. And coincidentally, after I posted that, I started reading articles that Capcom had renewed the Dino Crisis trademark, literally as if it was on the same day. Had they seen my post potentially? And before anyone jumps to conclusions, no, this doesn't mean a new game is confirmed, like so many articles were posting on that very same day. But here's the important part. Capcom does not need to do this. They let their other IPs lapse. They don't renew trademarks out of nostalgia. When Capcom keeps a name active, it's because they see value in it, present or future. And we've seen this pattern before. Obviously, they did so with Resident Evil. That's an ongoing franchise. But they did so with Omniscia. Hell, even Dead Rising and Okami, they've recently revived because they kept the trademark alive. They kept it dormant, quiet, and then suddenly, poof, back to life. Has Capcom finally taken notice of its fans, myself included? Obviously the renewal doesn't promise anything, but it absolutely tells us that Dino Crisis isn't dead. We're not going to have to wait another 65 million years for a Dino Crisis game. You see, at this point in time, survival horror is thriving once more. Capcom's RE engine is built for tension, lighting, and creature animation. You've only got to look at the Resident Evil 2 remake and their new engine to see that. It looks fantastic. Sure, dinosaurs are harder to animate than zombies, but Capcom has way better tools now than they did in 1999, and the interest is clearly still there. And when I mentioned this trademark renewal, like I said earlier on my Shadows YouTube community post, the response was immediate. Thousands of people still care about this series. Not for the nostalgia, but because nothing has ever replaced what Dino Crisis actually was. This is why the original Resident Evils worked so well. They didn't give you unlimited armor. They didn't give you the all-powerful police officer. You were literally just an ordinary human being and could die at one single zombie or licker if you wasn't too careful. Sometimes the best course of action was to just run past these threats, and Dino Crisis was no exception. Retreat was often far smarter than just fighting head on. And we haven't even talked about the map design yet, or the story. The facility was absolutely fantastic. It was never safe, ever. Backtracking wasn't comfort. You never had a sense of, oh, I need to backtrack to get this key, because when you did, things would change. More story elements would unravel. The area would change. A new encounter, perhaps. That dinosaur you saw in the facility perhaps has now made its way outside. A cleared hallway now could become lethal later on. That's why they introduced like laser power grids, which you could turn on and off to keep the dinosaurs at bay and potentially contained. But like Dr. Ian Malcolm says in Jurassic Park, life always finds a way and life cannot be contained. This is especially true in Dino Crisis. The rule of safety we learned from Resident Evil, where you could go from one room to the next via a loading screen, meant safety. Dino Crisis completely removed that because the enemies could follow you like I talked about earlier. So the safe room logic has now become an illusion. The game broke that core survival horror rule, and it worked because of it. I also like how the game didn't over-explain the monsters in it. There was no codex dumps, no lore lectures. It was just dinosaurs. Plain and simple. They existed in this world, that is it. Well, not literally, I won't ruin the story, but you get what I mean. For a game which is coming on, 27, 28 years old, it's aged better than half of its predecessors have. Because if you strip away all them polygons, the design philosophy still works. That's a rarity in games these days. And this is why Dino Crisis still matters today. You could pick it up right now and still have a fantastic time with it, no doubt. And what really sold this game was the fixed camera angles. Most dinosaur games, or even games in general, let you see the monster. Look at Dead Space. And Dino Crisis didn't because of the fixed camera angles. You couldn't see round corners. You couldn't see sometimes what was directly in front of you. All you could hear was the noise, the snarling, the footsteps, and that made fear even more prevalent in this game. Knowing the enemy's literally a few feet in front of you, but you can't see it, only hear it. And sometimes them footsteps would stop. The scratches you were hearing fade, and you think, oh, I'm safe once more. But you weren't. All of a sudden, a pounce. And well, it's game over. You You see, graphics don't really play a part in this. Dino Crisis wasn't about dinosaurs as a spectacle. It was about dinosaurs as fear. And until another dinosaur game understands that, Dino Crisis will sit at the top of the pile for me, untouched, unmatched, and still the best dinosaur game ever made. But it doesn't stop there. I've been tracking a pattern, not just in games, but inside Jurassic World itself. The creatures that were built, tested, documented, and then quietly removed from public view. That's what the restricted files are, and that's what the restricted files series is. And the first one explains exactly why Jurassic World was hiding more than just failed attractions. I recommend watching that after this. Massive thanks to the restricted section employees who are on screen now: DVM Wannabe 1018, Joseph Frost's Ghosts, Arcadian, and Fallen Zuria. Thanks for keeping the power on in the park. And thank you for watching till the very end. And if you came across a Velociraptor in a dark corridor, could your day get any worse? You bet your ass it can. Catch you later.